Probably like dirty underwear under there. Get into my goods. What is up, my friend? This is Jason, and I'm stoked today because I'm going to talk to you about my Jeep bed platform. I did a video about this about 2.5 years ago whenever I built it, but I didn't really get into the details of how I built it. I'm getting ready to build a new one because I learned a lot in the past 3 years sleeping in this thing. I probably spent over 100 nights in this thing in the past 3 years. Traveled across country, learned how to boondock in it. So I've gotten a really good taste for how I like to move around in it and what I would love to add to it. So I'm gonna rip this thing out, and then I'm gonna build a new one in the next month and hit the road heading west again. So if you haven't seen that first video, click in this corner up here, and that video will show you like everything that I can fit in here and how I store stuff. But today we're really just gonna break it down and show you how it's done. All right, let's do this. So at first glance, you're probably asking yourself, how the hell do you sleep in that thing? There can't possibly be enough room on that. Well, actually at the back there's about 3.5 feet wide, and up by the passenger doors you got about 4.5 feet wide. When you move the front seats up and measure all the way to the back of this thing, you have about 72 inches of straight space. I can actually sleep 2 people in here that are about 5'9", 5'10", very comfortably. It's actually really surprising how comfortable it is in here. So most of this build is made out of super heavy finished birch plywood. That was probably overkill at the time, but I wanted a really thick piece of wood. I do lock this thing whenever I'm hiking and things like that. I got a 15-foot cable lock that hooks into these bolts that I put in here, and it's at least gonna make it a lot harder for somebody to break in and get into my goods whenever I'm not here. Get into my goods. So this back box is about 7 inches deep finished. All the sides and the tops are the birch plywood. The bottom is just 1/2-inch plywood. Pretty simple construction on this one. Pre-drilled all the holes, put it together with 2-inch exterior decking screws. There's actually 2 panels that open on the top. This is where I kept a lot of my clothes, and that was really all I needed. The back was just extra stuff that I didn't really need to grab very often. Fairly equal dimensions on both sides. They're both just attached with 2 hinges. I did drill some large 2-inch diameter holes in the back so that I could actually bungee it down and secure it. Didn't really use that too much. This thing was heavy enough to where it never bounced around. And as you can see, I put a rubber mat on the top of it. I was really concerned at the time about water getting in and things like that. That was back when I was running my best top, Trek Top NX soft top. Love that thing, but I've kind of graduated to this hard top since I've been doing a lot of overlanding. I wanted that for a little bit more security. So when I build this next one, I'm not gonna do any surfaces on the top of it to protect it from water, because unfortunately I'm not taking my doors off enough these days, and I'm not taking the top off because it's impossible with my roof rack and things like that. That's it. That one's pretty easy. The other ones are a little bit more complicated. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually a little bit afraid to see what I find underneath this thing, because I don't think I've cleaned this out in about 3 years since I installed it. It's probably like dirty underwear under there. So you'll notice that I built a little ledge on the back of this box towards the other 2 boxes. And that's actually what the lid panels of these bigger boxes rest on, because there's really no structure between these boxes. So that was just a couple simple pieces of wood so that all the platform layers kind of sat at the same level whenever I put stuff in here, and I was sleeping in here. Nothing sexy there. All right, so now that we're digging into the goodies, I need to introduce you to my friend Dr. Watts. If you've looked at my website, there's a detailed article about how I built this, but essentially this is my Goal Zero Yeti 400 watt glorified power brick. This thing is good for 2, 3, 4 days hunkered out off grid. I rarely am off grid that long, but it's so great to have this power in the Jeep whenever I need it. I bought a couple of marine batteries, so I took this thing from 400 watts, chained it together, and now I have 1200 watts of power. Essentially, I can charge my computer 4 or 5 times, I can charge my devices, I can charge my phone, I can do all of those things. This thing charges whenever I'm driving, so I can recoup a little bit of energy if I am traveling around. I keep the spare batteries inside the box behind the passenger seat. Got a couple of Anderson cables that run to the actual Yeti, and yeah, Bob's your uncle. Power for days. So when I built this thing, I gotta be honest, I kind of winged it. I just measured 3 times before I screwed anything together and cut anything. Made sure that everything was gonna be flat whenever it was in there. Kind of went to town on it. To be honest, that's the reason I really didn't detail the build the first time. So on this box behind the passenger seat, this is the smaller box. Pretty much just created a skeleton out of 2x2s, added the sides to it, so it was pretty good structure, nothing sexy. And then 2 hinges for the top. The top contours around these back panels of the Jeep and goes right up against the door. I was careful to make sure that I could still roll the windows up and down. So the dimensions on the tops of these boxes are actually pretty important to make sure that you don't bump into the doors. And I got Armstrong windows, so needed to make sure that I had access to those. The finished depth of this box is about 13 inches with the top down. Front to back of the box is about 19 inches. And it's about 20 3/4 wide. Once again, just some simple hinges, and that's about it. You'll notice there's actually 2 bolts between these boxes that bolt them together. They're also bolted to the Jeep. There's actually a couple of the holes for the seats right underneath these boxes. So tell you what, getting those seats out, that was a bitch. I measured out the bottom of these, had a friend hold a pencil up through those holes, marked where they needed to be drilled, and these things are sturdy as hell. They're not going anywhere, they're not moving. So no rattling around, no nothing like that. So on this box, the top is made out of that 3/4 inch birch plywood. Again, I wanted a nice sturdy surface to sleep on, nothing that was gonna bow whenever I'm putting my 160 pounds on it. And last but not least, we got the driver's side, and this is the big box. This one kind of spans over the hump and again connects to that other box. The actual box build on this is almost exactly the same. All I've done is extend it over that well and connect those boxes together. Cool thing about this one is I actually built a floor into it, so there's actually a secret compartment underneath here. If you build this, do the same thing. Somebody rips into your Jeep, get your stuff, maybe they won't get the stuff that's hidden away. So the depth on this and the front to back, same as the other one. The width on this one though is actually 31 inches. Again, these 2 boxes have the 3/4 inch birch ply on the top, mostly made out of 2x2s, 2x4s, and then the sides and the bottom are just 1/2 inch ply. As you can see, I had a ton of space in between those, so there was probably actually about another 2 to 3 square foot of storage in between these boxes. Check out this beast. Alright, there it is. Like I said, this place is a mess. That's what 3 years of throwing junk in the back, sleeping back here, and traveling across the US will do. But I'm very excited about this next build. Keep your eyes peeled for that video. The reason I'm excited about it is because this bed was essentially 7 inches tall at the back, and that extended all the way forward. I had about 12 square feet of storage inside those boxes, a ton of storage, and then I would have milk crates and things like that for my dry goods, and I easily move those in and out on top. But the reason I'm rebuilding this is because I'm actually going to take this down to the finished floor level in the back. Essentially, it's going to be one fitted piece of plywood that goes all the way from the back all the way forward, which is going to give me another 7 inches of room in here. I got to be honest with you, when you're living in less than 40 square feet, 7 inches of vertical space and not hitting your head on the ceiling stuff is going to be super nice. So this side's going to be flat all the way forward, and this side I'm going to have about a 6 inch tall drawer that comes out the back, so that whenever I lock this thing up, the back is locked, and then I'm going to have some extra storage off to the side. So I'm still going to have about 12 square foot of storage. It's just going to be organized a little bit differently for the next one. So yeah, stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button. Let me know if you've done an awesome build like this. Shoot me a link. I shot from the hip on this one. I'm going to shoot from the hip on the next one. And yeah, see you out there on the road. Peace.